Hi, and welcome to the Boat Princess podcast. My name is Nicky Vaux, and I'm your host. I am a boat owner, a marina owner, a director on the Marina Industries Association, and a huge advocate for boating. In this series, I'm sharing the stories from every nook of the boating industry with the intention of encouraging more women to join me and for more women to get behind the helm too. I want to share the experience and opportunities of boating, of the boating industry, and I want you to join me as I bring the conversations and answer all the questions you've had. Boating is not just for the glamorous and rich and famous. It's full of beautiful and interesting people making the most of our natural environment and getting out there, enjoying the waterways. So let's set off the lines, take over the helm, and escape to the world of boating. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I am here with a rather fabulous woman, actually.
Keep going.
Her name is Debbie Lendertz, and she is a partner, but also director of yacht charter and crew recruitment at Chapman Yachting. Welcome, Debbie.
Thank you for having me on a glorious day.
I know. And the best thing is, guys, we're sitting on a super yacht for this lovely interview. So super yachts are a perfect location for a podcast interview for the Boat Princess, I reckon.
Perfect location for a lot of things.
That is so true. We are on board Element in Sydney Harbour, just sitting at the bay. I don't think super yachts have to move to be fun, do they? They're
Absolutely not.
No.
I sit on this quite often with a glass of wine. I mean, working, and it doesn't move and it's fabulous.
Yeah, because it puts you in that natural mood of happiness, doesn't it?
I think water does. Just being around water is happiness for me on a nice day.
Yeah. Love that. So is that why you got into this industry? Because you love the water, or?
Do you know, I'll be completely honest with you. I was never a fan of the water. I didn't even know about the industry until I was 27. But late in the game, I know, trust me, I wish I had found it a lot sooner. I actually found out by the industry through a friend of mine who I was living with at the time. I actually started another business and that didn't end too well with my partner taking off with all the money.
Oh, no.
So I had no idea what I was going to do. Moved back to Sydney, moved in with my friend. It was actually her boyfriend who had done yachting for 10 years. Sat there and goes, I'll tell you what you're going to do. And for the next 4 or 6 hours, he literally sat there and told me about yachting. A week later, I went and did my STCW course.
Yeah.
And a week after that, I flew to France. I thought I was going to be gone 3 months. I didn't come back for 10 years.
Yeah. That's quite a story we're going to have to unpack.
Yeah. So, no, I didn't know, but I didn't love the water to start with, but now you can't get me away from it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. You grew up in New Zealand, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Very much Kiwi.
And in Auckland, correct?
Auckland, yeah.
Yes.
City of Sails, funny enough, but
Okay.
never went on a sailing boat in my life.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you went to school there. You went to college there, or where did you go? Where did you go to college?
I did. The college was called Pakuranga College. It was just a public school. I was definitely one of those people that did not like school. Think back in those days, they taught you it was in one way or the highway. I took the highway because I just didn't enjoy it. I did not enjoy school. And I actually ended up leaving at the age, I think it was just before I was 16.
Wow. Okay. So this is something, a nice angle for us to look at, because not every woman or every man going into the boating industry necessarily has a degree. And I think we need to share that, because not all of us enjoy education. It is very staid, and it has its certain procedures, and some of us just don't suit that style of learning, right? So what did you hate about school?
Oh, everything. I think I had ADD. Look, I think back in those days, and we're going back 20-odd years, 20, 30-odd years, they only taught you one way, and I just wasn't learning. So you were getting frustrated, you know, and listen, I definitely wasn't in the smart class. And I think that's very different now how they teach you depending on what schools, you know, they actually go, okay, well, you'll learn this way, which is visual, or you can learn this way, which is, you know, reading it or whatever. So I think that's very different now. But back then, it was really, if you didn't learn the way they taught, that was it.
Yeah.
You didn't learn. And I hated that. And I was getting frustrated. I always say to people, I'm not a classroom girl, I'm a life girl.
Yes.
You put me in life situations, I reckon I'll outtest anyone.
Yeah.
Put me in a classroom and I will freeze and get anxiety and I hate it. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really motivating for women who are like that, listening to this, you know, because you are incredibly successful in what you're doing now.
Thank you.
So it's wonderful to hear that there are different pathways, you know, that you don't have to go down the traditional educational route to get to be where you are now. So you started your career in telecommunications, am I right?
I did, yeah. Yeah. God, that was a long time ago now. I did. I worked for many big companies, Commander, Telstra, Optus, Vodafone. I think I went through them all.
The whole
I did, you know. It was just nice to put your toe in every option. Look, I was also, like I said, I wasn't very good at school, but when it came to life, I always seemed to make my way up the chain very fast, as I did in yachting. You know, I would start out as a sales rep, and in every single role, I ended up as a sales manager, you know, looking after a team of people. So it was more success outside of school than it was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And then, like you say, you had that conversation with somebody in Sydney.
Yeah.
And you came into the world of yachting. But you said you had a business before that. What was your business before that?
Yeah, that was the biggest mistake ever. That was an installation business.
Yeah.
With a friend of mine that we moved to it was in Sydney, moved to the Gold Coast when the government sort of brought that scheme out. Anyway, we were doing that. And yeah, that was a time in my life I'd probably like to forget.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I learned about yachting, I reckon I had $500 to my name, if that.
Wow.
And I remember begging my mum for the money to go and do the course. She actually said no to me to start with, but then rang me back and said, you know what, it's education. I'll give it to you, but you got to pay it back, which is fair enough.
Yes.
And then I had to ring my cousin and beg her for the money for the ticket to get to France. And luckily when I got there, a friend of mine knew someone there that set me up with them, so I didn't have to sort of pay for accommodation. And I was very lucky. And there is one rule in yachting that everyone should know and know that it happens. Yeah. When you are on your last dollar, your last leg, you think nothing's going to turn out. Every single time it will. And it's funny the amount of yachties or people in yachting that I speak to, they go, oh my God, the same thing. You know, as a greenie, you go in there and you're like, oh God, I'm down to my last dollar, you know, I can't afford another night at the hostel or whatever it was. And then somehow something pops up. And I reckon 99% of the yachties that I speak to agree with that statement. So
that's quite a moment that you've been there with nothing and you've had to start all over again.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I literally remember going to Café Le Bleu in Antibes, putting my CV up and looking at going, oh, Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't work.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not even kidding you. 30 minutes later, I got a phone call from a captain. I went to the interview that day and the next day I started.
Wow. So you had no experience in yachting at all, and you went straight into that as a first steward,
second steward. Yeah, it was on the 35-metre in Antibes. There was the chief stew, Agatha, I still remember her name. She was actually my only ever chief stew.
Okay.
I worked for that boat for 6 months, and after that I moved up to chief stew.
Wow. Very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And she must have been a good teacher.
She was amazing. She is still in yachting to this day, actually.
Fantastic. Yeah. Good on you, Agatha.
Yeah.
So when you did that first 6 months, what do you think you learnt first up? What was the first thing you remember sort of was different for you that you hadn't really understood before you got into yachting?
Oh, a lot. I'll never forget, I learned that the guest bedroom that I was told was the twin room was not the crew room. That was a wide awakening when I got back to the boat to drop my bags off, that they showed me the crew room. I was like, oh, no, I thought the twin guest room was the crew room, and I wondered why everyone had such an issue with the crew rooms. That was the biggest mistake when I first started. But look, after that, it's tolerance. It's a lot of hard work. Like, yachting was the best 10 years of my life, but we were working 19-hour days. We were working 30 days straight without a day off. And you're living in close quarters with people. You're tired. But then when you get that big envelope at the end, it makes it all go away.
That below decks moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We call it the golden handcuffs. I tried to leave yachting 4 times.
Yes.
And every single time I'm like, I ran out of money, time to go back yachting.
Because it is a good earn, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but as you say, it's incredibly hard work at the same time.
Yeah.
So, the teams that you worked with and that time you spent on the yachts, what was the best part of being on the yacht with all those people and
having that time with them? The one thing that I loved, I spent most of my career in the Caribbean and the Med, the Bahamas, was that everyone on the yacht was in my situation. You know, and normally I know below deck, anyone who's listening because of that, they want to get out and they just want to leave each other or they want to fight. That wasn't us. No. We were like planning trips together. We're like, right, okay, we're going to be here. Where are we going to go on this day trip? What are we doing there? It was the fact that everyone understood what you did for work, that you were in and out of whatever location. You know, we could be in a shipyard for 6 months and see everyone then take off. But the yachting community is close. Everyone knows each other. And it is a small world.
Yeah.
But it's great because everyone understood your lifestyle. And it goes back to that money thing as well. Everyone was able to afford the lifestyle you wanted to live because they were living the same one.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very cool. And the places you must have seen.
Wow.
You must have seen some beautiful parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favourite?
All of it. I do know what, I don't have a favourite part because when I was in the Med, it was all about seeing stuff at the shore, like St. Bart's and things like that. You know, that was amazing to go see. But then when you're in the Caribbean, it was more about the water and diving. So I learned to dive while I was on yachts. So every location gave you something different. So I don't have a favourite part. My favourite part was yachting.
Yeah. Because you're in a beautiful environment all of the time, right? Yeah. On the yacht.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My favourite thing would be I would try to always put myself on earlies because I'm an early riser. And I remember just being in the Bahamas and every morning I'd just wake up, go sit on the bow of the boat, watch the sunrise. It was peaceful and just sit there and soak it in. I remember saying to myself, when you're no longer on yachts, remember this moment. And I do. And it's a bit crazy. I'll sit there and go back to there going, take me back. Yeah. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Guys, we are here at on Element at Jones Bay Wharf. So you can hear, trucks backing up and cranes moving around and all those sorts of things. I can hear them in my headphones. So I'm assuring you can hear them. But it's a working marina. So, it adds atmosphere to our podcast because that's what we do. We work in marinas, which is a pretty special place to work in marinas. So we're very lucky like that. So tell me about how your current position came about. So you've been overseas, you've been doing yachting for what? 10 years.
10 years?
It was just under 10 years. Look, I love the industry. I'm so upset I didn't find it earlier, and that's the biggest regret, and that's the biggest piece of advice I will give to anyone. Do not put it off. Go as soon as you can, because you do get to an age, I think, as a female, where you do get a little bit too old to stay in the industry. And with my mouth, it gets a little bit, I can't control it, so I have to leave. But I loved the industry, and I was sitting there going, right, what do I do? When I learned about it, when I got told from my friend's partner, there was no one to give you information about yachting.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. And anyway, I did have that. He put me in contact with this chief stew who went out of her way and now doing recruitment, trust me, to explain to someone what you have to do, the courses, where you have to go, what visas you need. There is so much involved and it takes so long. And I never forget the help that she gave me. And I remember saying, if I ever, get into this industry and I leave, that's what I want to do, is I want to help people find the industry. So, I was just sitting in my cabin one day going, right, I want to do charter, I want to do recruitment. And funny enough, through a couple of those years, I actually came back to Australia to work on a yacht here. We were in the Whitsundays, and I actually met my business partner, Cooper Chapman. He was a captain on another boat while he still had his management and maintenance business. For about a year and a half, we were talking back and forth as to, I said, hey, look, I want to come home, but I want to start, recruitment. He said, great, I wanted to talk to you. Actually, I want to look at something to do with charter. But as always, I was never ready to leave yachting. So it was a year and a half of like, yeah, I'm coming, we'll chat. Anyway, I hadn't been home in 14 years for Christmas with my family.
Wow.
Yeah, Mum and Dad weren't too happy with that one. Yep. And so I came back, and Cooper and I actually met, funny enough, in Sydney Airport, and we sat in his work ute and spoke for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
No way.
About what we want. Funny enough, he got a ticket. Oh, if you know Goofy, that's funny. Yep. And we just sat there and spoke about what we wanted. And do you know, it was one of those things, I served these millionaires and billionaires for so many years, and I'd pick their brain, like, how did you get to where you are? What are you doing? They all said the same thing to me. You'll never be rich working for someone else.
Yeah.
And then they told me the hard part of it, of the first few years, of what you've got to do when you want to work for yourself. So yeah, it sort of came about from that. I decided, had this chat with Cooper. We decided, look, let's give it a go. And I moved back for 3 months, and we put everything together, like, the charter boats, the website, started seeing if it could work. Then it became winter. So obviously it gets very quiet in winter here in Sydney. Unless you go north to the Whitsundays. And I went back to America, and just, on my breaks or whatever, I would, follow up with what we're doing. And then, in October, that was in March, I went back. And then by October, I moved back full time, and it has just gone from strength to strength. It's been crazy. It's been 7 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gone so quickly.
You're telling me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gone so quickly. Wow. I find it funny when you say that Sydney is so quiet in winter, because as a POM, right, it's like 2 degrees in winter, and I'm going, why are there no boats out on the harbour? Because it's a glorious sunny day.
Yeah.
and in England, we'd be in a bikini right now.
100%. Not here. No. See, I still feel the cold. I mean, people here will sit here in, shorts and T-shirts. I've got jumpers and Ugg boots on because I'm like, was climatized to the Bahamas and the Caribbean for so long.
I love that for you, darling.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you've started this business with Cooper. It's working incredibly well for you. You focus on the charter area of the business, don't you?
Correct. Yeah. So Cooper's had his business since 2008. He's, looks after maintenance and refits and private vessels. So when we started chatting, and what I wanted to do was recruitment and charter. So I look after those two divisions.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's Sydney charter, Whitsunday, South Pacific.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I've seen your reviews.
Yes.
You've got, she's got 5 stars, guys. And it includes things like incredible attention to detail and going above and beyond, and so easy to deal with, and so personable, and so friendly, and so helpful, and all those sorts of things are mentioned in your reviews online.
Oh.
It clearly shows that you build a relationship with your clients.
I do.
And that they enjoy working with you. Tell me about some things you do to do that.
Do you know what? I'm not the normal straighty 180 business person. I am me, and I am not apologetic for it. I will joke more often than I'm serious. I think it's just my personality. I know you have to be professional in some situations, and I have to remind myself when they are. But I get to, no one wants to deal with a robot. And because I do love the industry and I get excited for people to hold an event on a yacht, or, if it's their first time, or if they're planning a weekend, like I love that part of it. I know what it's like. I've worked on yachts, I've been served on yachts, and it's just, I just be me. And I think that goes a long way with people when you don't sit there going, being a robot and giving them the answers they want. Yeah. I will be straight up with clients.
Yeah.
And if some clients have wanted a certain boat, I've gone, oh, hell no. And I will be honest with them as to why, because it's not for them. That boat may be for someone else. It's not for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they appreciate that.
That's actually a really important point, actually. Different yachts are suited to different events, which is why it's great to have such a selection of charter yachts available, right? Because they're all perfect for different scenarios.
Absolutely.
So that's, part of that knowledge of yachts specifically, and understanding the capability of a yacht, the capacity of a yacht, the kind of feel of a yacht as well, is quite incredible. Yeah, so it's really useful knowledge. That chief stew knowledge that you have, what do you think that brings to the table for charters for you?
Look, I think one of the biggest things, and when we first approached yachts and said, hey, we're going to start a charter division, one of the biggest things was I went to those captains or the central agent or the broker and said, just an FYI, I've been a chief steward around the world for 10 years. I get yachts, I get boats, I get what clients are looking for. And at that time, there were not many brokers that had ever stepped foot on a yacht as a crew member. So every boat that we went to was like finally someone who will understand or know the expectations of a client, or, can go, right, no, this yacht's not going to be preferable for a 30-person sit-down meal, So I think that goes a long way, and just being able to walk on a boat, go, great, okay, understand the client's requirements, what the event is about, and go, you know what, this is the boat you need to look at.
Yeah. So there was a term that you used there that we need to explain to our listeners potentially. Central agent. What does that mean?
So the way Australian yachts are run very different to they are around the world. So let me explain central agency for Australia. The yachts here, and there's probably about 130 on the harbour that are available for charter. Now you can go to a boat directly, you can go through a company, you can go through the captain. Each boat is run very differently. We as a central agent for Element and another yacht called Shadow, we represent the yacht on behalf of the owner. So anyone, it doesn't matter if it's an agent selling the boat on behalf of their client, if it's a direct client, they come through us to organise the charter. The big difference with Chapman Yachting is with both the vessels that we're central agency for is we also look after the management for them. So because we have full-time staff that look after the maintenance, the wash down, the care of the yacht, there's actually no need for full-time crew on these boats. We run it a very different way. But as the central agent, we look after all the bookings, all the charter logistics of the charter.
Because that is a big difference, because a lot of super yachts have full-time crew, and that is an expensive element of the ownership of that yacht. So if you're providing that whole service for them, that takes a lot of the worry and the concern from the owners about the yacht, because they know you're taking care of it, but you're also creating some income for them at the same time.
Absolutely. Look, typically when you have a management style like ours, and I mean, look, with, the way that the business has grown, where we do have the management, we have the crew on the ground, I think there's 15 full-time guys at the moment. We have the charter business with the girls in the office 24/7. So it's typically 50% less to run a yacht under management like ours than having full-time crew. And then you've got charter brokers like us who it incentivizes us to put charters on the boat where, sometimes if the crew are there and they have to do a charter, crew work hard. Yeah. And I know that firsthand. The last thing they want to hear is us ringing up going, hey, we've got another charter in 4 hours for you. So you know what? It keeps people around longer. People aren't worn out or burnt out. So, and I think it's a really good, for the way yachts are run in Australia, a very good way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned something there that I know the industry is a little bit focused on at the moment, and I've seen some brilliant work by Captain Kelly Gordon, for example, online on that burnout and that the crew do work very hard, and she's doing a lot of work in that mental health space. So that fact that you're moving the staff around from one boat to another and they're not just on one, do you think that helps with that?
Absolutely. I think, look, once again, the way Australia crew for these, commercial vessels that are doing 4 and 5 hour charters on the harbour during peak season twice a day. Yeah. Like that's crazy for anyone. You're doing 12, 13 hour days, and some yachts take up to 100 people. So you're dealing with 100 people for 4 hours. You've got an hour and a half to clean the boat, change it around, then you have to deal with another 100 drunk people for 4 hours. So, yeah, they can get burnt out. And, peak season starts around, end of October is when all the big super yachts come back from the Whitsundays. So, like November, December, January, these big yachts can be out twice a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets tired, and the crew that have been around for a while, and they do it year in, year out, and they possibly go up to the Whitsundays, do a busy season up there. It does. It really can burn you out. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah, so it's you've got to keep a cap. I guess the water does help. The fact they're in the beautiful environment there does. But I say to my team, and the crew team would be exactly the same. Our team at Waterside Bistro, every time you go out into the front of that restaurant, you're on a stage and you're having to perform to your guests and make their world as happy as possible, because that's your job, right? How did you manage that as a chief stew? Because you're on it all the time, and you've got to look as if you're feeling good about it. Were there some strategies you used for that?
Yeah, at the end, I just couldn't. Yeah. That's why I went, probably time to look for something else. Look, the fact that you are in a different place every morning, where am I today? I'm in Santorini. Where am I today? Oh, I'm in Croatia. Like, the fact you would wake up every morning, I could go to bed tired and grumpy, but when you open that crew door, you walk out, you're like, wow. Not many people get to do this. Okay, a lot of yachties get to do it.
Yeah.
But, I had to have so many people message me going, I'm living my life through you. So it was those moments that you took to remind yourself, this is not something ordinary. This is an industry where people get to experience that other side of living. Yeah. It really was. And, I was lucky. I had great guests and owners. I enjoyed every day. We would go and have fun with them. I remember I was on a boat for about 2 years, and it was a private only boat. And it was an older couple, and I still actually talk to them today. I absolutely love them. And we were in the Bahamas for 6 months. And if they went out to dinner, we went out to dinner with them. If they wanted to go snorkeling and go feed the pigs, we would go feed the pigs with them. Like, we got to experience everything they were doing. So I think, yes, there were days that I was scrubbing toilets and, making beds and hating life, but I never took the good times for granted. Yeah. And the amount of times I would sit back and go, just remember this when things aren't going well, So, yeah, I think it was just never taking anything for granted. And if you enjoy what you do, you're never going to have a bad, well, yeah, you can't have a bad day. That's a lie. Yeah. But when you love what you do, there's going to be good days and bad days, but the good days will always outweigh the bad.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can always see a positive in some way. It's looking
cash.
For that positive. But it is kind of taking in the environment that you're in, isn't it? And being grateful for that and saying, wow, not everybody, like you say, not everybody gets to do this. I know my team at Waterside Bistro do a very simpler version of that. Some of them actually go down to the marina at the end of the day and they put their feet in the water.
Oh,
and
I love that.
And they just look at the water and say, look at where we work.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is that moment of positivity and taking that, I guess, that moment to look back and say, no, hang on, check out where I am.
Yeah. Well, in fact, we've just opened our second office, as you know, at the Roselle Super Yacht Marina.
Beautiful.
I don't know if you ever saw our original office, the OG. We still have it. It's great. Management and refit and all of that is done out of there. But we were literally in it would have been a 9x2, little office down at Point Piper Marina, because it was really only just Cooper and I. And now we're in this stunning floor-to-ceiling glass office that overlooks the super yacht at the marina.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I've definitely put my feet up on my desk and had a glass of wine sitting there going, wow, this is where I get to look at every day. This is where I get to come. And that's been a real moment for me as well since starting the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've had our marina for 17 years now.
Yeah,
I still have to pinch myself when I go down there sometimes thinking, wow, that's our marina at Bobbin Head. And then I go up to our other one at Lake Macquarie and go, wow.
Yeah.
Love this. Thankfully, we have amazing teams looking after both of them. But yeah, it really is a privilege to work in this.
Yeah.
And as long as you take that grateful privilege approach, I think you'll never... You have your bad days, you have your tough days, you have your hard days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the other people are not in that environment when they're doing those tough days.
No.
So,
but I look at that also, and the one of the big things, guys, I would come back, every few years and see people and catch up. I got over it. Because they went to the same office, 9-to-5 job. They sat in a cubicle or did whatever. And I would find every time I come back, it was just me speaking for 5 hours because they're like, oh, and then what did you do? And then where did you go? I'm like, well, what about you? Oh, no, nothing was different. And I look back and go, you know what? My bad days were better than their best days.
yes. Yeah. So talking of conversations, that conversation you had with a guy that said you got to get into yachting.
Yeah, Wayne.
Why did that happen? Why did that conversation happen, and what made you...
Look, he was in yachting for 10 years prior to me doing that. He had actually left, and he knew the industry. Yeah. He knew, and I actually only just sort of met him, but, his partner at the time was a very close friend of mine for 25 years. And I guess, you do have to have a personality to be in yachting. You do have to be a strong person. But he just sort of told me about this crazy world, and I thought he was lying to start with. I'm like, what do you mean? You get to do this, and this is how you travel, and they pay you all this money. You don't have to pay rent, and chef cooks a meal for you. I'm like, sign me up. But yeah, I don't know. I think I was just lost in what I wanted to do. And, within 10 minutes of him starting to speak of it, I think my eyes were like boggling open. My mouth was dropped. I'm just going, tell me more.
Yeah. And talking of crazy world, what's the craziest request you've had from a charter guest or on when you were chief stew, a guest?
I had one guy that we were in the Bahamas. He had a craving for caviar. There was no caviar in the Bahamas there was, but not the one he wanted. And he asked me to organise the caviar to be flown in from America on a private jet by itself to the island. We had to send the tender for a 4-hour run to go and pick it up and then bring it back for his dinner that night.
Wow.
But for his entree.
That brings cravings to a whole new level, doesn't it?
I know. First world problems. I'll be there one day.
From the PJ to the SY.
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, I love that. There you go. Fancy having a craving. I don't think I've ever had a craving for caviar. That's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, I'm going to have to work towards that.
That was just a flex, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He dropped the mic. Yeah.
So I know you've done an incredible amount of events on Sydney Harbour with some real incredible detail and a whole bunch of exciting things you've had to organise and fun things you've had to organise. Give us some good examples of those that you've done.
Oh, I have a few, and they've all been so much fun, so stressful but fun. I think the original one we did was Red Bull and Holden, and we literally organised a barge in the middle of the harbour with the 2 latest super race cars to be unveiled by the Red Bull team. Then we had a super yacht pull up beside it with all the media and everything. So that was pretty cool to put 2 brand new supercars in the middle of the harbour.
Amazing.
So that was definitely, you can't just do that. You can't just take out a barge and put it in the harbour and have some cars locked on. So that was very cool. That was a really big event. Lots of moving parts there. Then we did the season kickoff of the NRL. So once again, putting a barge out in the middle of the harbour, and the NRL captains all kicked off a rugby ball over a goalpost. So we literally set up a fake goalpost in the middle of the harbour for them to kick balls over. So yeah,
As you do.
that was very cool. Another massive event, which was, oh my God, we had such a pleasure working with Lisa from Hello Molly. We ended up taking Ghost 1 and 2. So Ghost 2 is one of the largest super yachts on the harbour.
Yep.
With Ghost 1 and 2 tenders in formation. We literally wrapped the boats pink.
No way.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
amazing. So they had DJ Tiger Lily. We organised private fireworks. There were, you got celebrities, A-list celebrities from overseas that were brought in for this. But we literally had, the 2 yachts going down the harbour in formation, 2 tenders on either side holding flags, and then tied up, and at the end of the night, the fireworks was all done. That was incredible, and that was a long process. That was about 5 months in the making. There was a lot to prepare for that.
Yeah, not wrong.
Yeah.
And I know Roxy Jasenko's had some fun with you too, hasn't she?
We've done some great charters with Roxy. One of my favourite one was the Reef Party, which was for Gay Pride Week, and Roxy, God love her, dressed up as a drag queen. And we actually tended her out to the boat full of the clients and got her on there. She looked fabulous. I think she was in makeup for about 6 hours. It was crazy. Yeah.
Love that girl. She's so driven and she's worked so hard to get where she is now.
Absolutely.
And, brilliant woman. Love her energy. She's really fiery. Love
She
that.
is.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, great girl. So, what do you think the future holds for Chapman Yachting? Where are you going now?
Global.
We love that.
Look, we've grown so quickly and so fast. It's been amazing. I really, I think we've only just finished building the new offers, the new website, implementing things, from inside the business, that I think I'm taking a minute just to take all of that in. But look, national offices aren't out of reach. We've always spoken about that. But, one day would love to be as big as and best as Burgess, and I'm sure it can happen.
Yeah. Because, Burgess is a very strong worldwide element of that space, isn't
Absolutely.
it? So very exciting to head in that direction, and I guess for you that will involve some more travel again, which you probably miss a bit, do you?
Fingers crossed, yes it does. You see, I think it's imperative that I go to all the boat shows, the Monaco, the Cannes, the Miami. We're going to keep going to all of those. I miss travel. Yeah. I'm definitely one of those people that I need to have a trip planned. And I think everyone sort of needs something to look forward to. Otherwise, what are you working towards? Yeah. You're just working to go to work every day or whatever. It's not like I enjoy knowing where I'm going, new places. Yeah. Yachting let me see a lot of the world. Now it's time to do it.
Yeah. Presumably you recommend people to book a super yacht charter.
100% through Chapman Yachting.
I know that is very important. They say, don't they, that mentally, even if you book a trip but then you don't do it, you still feel better.
Really? I'm just going to book a whole lot of trips there.
Yes. No, they do say actually having something to look forward to makes you feel so much better, even if you don't do it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like
part of the mental growth and the mental benefit of that is the looking forward to
something.
Yeah, which is why it's not good to have surprise parties. It's good to have a party you look forward to.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
So book the super yacht charter party so you can look forward to it, and that's part of the benefit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. And tell me about Cooper. What's you're working with an unusual scenario because Mark and Cooper are father and son.
They are.
So that's Mark's been in the business forever.
30 odd years. So I think people have a lot of misconception about how Cooper started or what they have to do with each other.
Yeah.
So, yes, as you said, Mark Chapman has been in the marine industry for 30 years. You know, he's had his sales division. I think Cooper was about 16 when he went to his first boat and said, you know, can I wash it down and look after it for you? And that's how it started. And look, and I'm sure Mark had to say to the guy, hey, look, do you mind if, you know, Cooper washes your boat? But look, from that, yeah, Mark's had, you know, nothing to do with Cooper's success. Cooper has been a rise and grind kind of guy since day one.
Yeah.
You know, he got one boat to wash down and clean, and he got a second one, got a third one, got a fourth one, then got someone to help him because he started growing so much. So there's always one thing I say about, you know, about Cooper and I say he's the brains and I'm the beauty.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot
He is incredible. Like everything he does is, I don't have to question it. I'll try just so he thinks I will question him.
Yes.
But I don't have to. Everything he does is done with honor and intent, which I absolutely love. Everything is done to its best in the highest standard. And what I'll say about that, you know, if we need uniforms, I'll be like, oh, look, we can get this cheaper option. It's like, no. You got to go with the biggest and the best, you know, the best, and you got to look like, you know, the sort of company that you are, and he's done that very well.
Yeah.
So he had Chapman Yacht Management for 8 years before I even came along.
Yeah.
And by that time, well, by now he has, I think it's 36 private yachts under management. They're from like 60 to, well, now 100 foot. As I said, he's got about 15 full-time staff working on the ground that is doing look, and they're all getting their commercial sea time and tickets from doing those as well. So yeah, it's really, I'm very lucky to be partnered with someone so amazing.
Yeah.
But just recently, so Mark's hasn't really had anything to do with Cooper and I. He's just sort of, he's Chapman Marine. We were Chapman Yacht Management. And about 1.5 years ago, we went through a rebrand. You know, you said, where are we going? What's next? That's what was next. We were evolving. We weren't just a management company. We were a yacht company. So we're now Chapman Yachting. As I said, we've just opened the second office down at Roselle. So Cooper is, you know, your yacht management, refit and maintenance. I'm charter and recruitment. And Mark has just come in and sort of started the sales side of things into the super yacht arena. So that's, you know, we needed the big office when selling the big yachts.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't turn down that sales, you know, acumen that Mark has. He's been doing it for so long.
Absolutely.
You know?
And look,
Why
it's all tied into it because, you know, I mean, we have a client that's been chartering with me for a couple of years and was looking to buy a yacht.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that sort of, it's the 360 degree. We have people that buy yachts, we look after them, then they want to buy a bigger one, then they need more crew, then they need to sell that yacht, then they need to buy the bigger yacht. So, you know, the Chapman Yachting is a true 360 degree company that can, you know, from buying a yacht to crewing it to chartering it to selling it to buying the bigger one, we can do every aspect of it. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, and honestly, an owner of a yacht is usually a very busy person.
Yes.
So that fact that you're taking on all of those roles for them, to one company they can trust.
Yeah.
That's a really nice, reassuring scenario for owners, I would have thought.
Well, look, I think pretty much everyone that's been with Cooper has been with him since they were 16. But, you know, no one's left to go anywhere else. I mean, they've left because they've sold the boat or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's got very loyal customers.
Yeah, I can imagine. And you mentioned uniforms, biggest and best, little segue there. I'm sure that was Quality Marine Clothing.
Of course, always.
Of course, it was Quality Marine Clothing. Because they're one of my sponsors, so I have to mention that.
They help us out. I've rung Duncan on a few occasions and gone, I need some skorts in about 2 hours.
Oh, I know. Isn't he brilliant like that?
He doesn't like me very much when I do that, but he makes it happen.
But he does make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Skorts, by the way, guys, are very short skirts that have shorts underneath. So when you see those photos of the crew girls with those super short skirts on, you think, oh my goodness, how on earth does she serve drinks with that on? That's how.
Yeah, they're like tennis. They're like the tennis pants that you see. The shorts. Yeah,
yeah, they're very, very popular with crew, aren't they?
Very.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, easy to work in and so on. But yeah, Quality Marine Clothing really know their stuff, and they really can make things happen for yachts and make them all look amazing, because they do need to look. That's the thing. You can't go cheap with uniforms on. I mean, not that Quality Marine Clothing are super expensive, but they're not of that, that quality that standard uniforms out there with the dodgy polos and all that sort of thing.
People don't pay all this big money to go on a yacht to feel like they've walked into Kmart.
Yeah, exactly.
No offense, Kmart, but it's the look and the feel, and that's everything we do. Is I tell you, I always say, I will always question spending the money, but I've never regretted it when I see the outcome with everything that we do.
Yeah. Quality really does need to shine on super yachts.
Absolutely.
You can't half, it.
No.
So you're having this fabulous career. You're enjoying what you're doing. You're working with a partner that you work incredibly well with. What do you think is the pinnacle of your career, apart from that being overseas? And what's your vision of that thing that you want to do, where you're going to go, all right, that's it, I'm there, I've really done it? Or do you think you're already there?
Oh, look, I question myself all the time. I'm so hard on myself, with everything that I've done, and then it takes someone to go to me, are you kidding me? Look at what you've done. Look at where you are. And then, I always feel that I've only done that because I've been able to do it with a business partner. So I'm very hard on myself, but I'm not going to lie. I don't think I'm at the pinnacle. I think there is a long way to go. But I'm not, Cooper and I used to think, imagine when we get our first CA vessel. We got Element 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, imagine when, we get our first 100-foot yacht. Now we have that, a beautiful yacht called Shadow. Then we're like, we used to sit in our office, sit next to each other, and wouldn't be able to throw a stone further than the door. And imagine when we get a big office. And we've done that. So I think we keep imagining what's next for us, and we keep imagining what happens. We make it happen. So I can't tell you what the pinnacle would be, but I've definitely had moments of sitting in the new office going, wow, I can't believe we did this. And we didn't just move in. We designed this off the style and feel of a 50-metre yacht.
You did,
So it's sitting back and taking in those moments. It's taking in the moments. Like, I really enjoyed it the other day. I've had a girl, Alyssa, who's been with me for a couple of years, and unfortunately she's going back to the south of France to live. And I took all the girls out for lunch, and it was just that the camaraderie, the friendship, that family feel that we have at Chapman that you just love. The boys, oh my goodness, they're next level. They're all best friends. I reckon they're all troublemakers, but they all work so hard. But I just love that family. And I'll be honest with you, I don't see it in many other companies that they're as close as what we are. It's work hard, play hard, and yeah, I haven't gotten to that pinnacle, but I've had so many moments that I've just gone, wow.
Yeah. But you're clearly setting your goals. You're probably saying, okay, we're going to aim for this and we're going to aim for that. And you're manifesting and making that happen. So, and that's the fundamentals of a business. You've got to say, okay, we want to do this next. And you take the steps to get to that thing that you want, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about those two yachts that you're totally looking after now, Element and Shadow.
And Shadow. Well, this is Element. Yeah. Beautiful 82-foot Warren.
Yeah.
She's 20 years old, believe it or not.
Warren's, it's such a shame that Warren's is no longer, because they've designed the most beautiful yachts and they're timeless. I mean, Quantum's the same. They're just gorgeous, gorgeous yachts that are completely timeless. You could, obviously you refurbish them and you look after them and you bring them up to, but their lines
they're beautiful,
just divine.
And she's got the Element. Look, this is original carpet. We did a refit. Well, there was a refit in 2018.
Yeah.
So she's best known for the 4-hour charters on Sydney Harbour. So she holds up to 36 guests. Then we have 3 stewardesses, a captain, a deckhand, and a chef. She's doing upwards. When we took her over, I think she was doing about 24 charters a season. She does upwards of 98 now.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
massive.
She's getting a run for her money, that's for sure.
Yeah, not wrong.
But she's a fan favourite. And look, you know, one of the biggest things people don't realise is how affordable it is for boats this size. Like, you do a 4-hour fully catered charter for 36 people. That's all food, beverages, catering, everything. You're looking at around $350 to $400 a person.
Yeah.
I spent that on cocktails on a Thursday. So, I mean... to be able to go out on the harbour for 4 hours, like, you know, it is. And you've got the catamarans that you can go out for $60 a person for 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Yeah.
I mean, that's Element. Shadow we have just taken over. She's a 100-foot technomar, currently stripped bare in the Gold Coast. So there is a new owner. He is fabulous. He, you know, brought the boat, saw her potential. We took over the full management and the charter side of it and said, look, you know, let's go to the Gold Coast. Let's do a massive refit. So we got her up there. She's going to be there for about 5 months.
Okay.
Full respray. They've literally ripped the whole top deck apart.
Wow.
So Shadow also holds 100 guests over the
That's
36.
Big.
Yeah. So she's having a full birthday. So spending a lot of money to put her in, I suppose, in line with the biggest competition here on Sydney Harbour. For those charters. Yeah, Sydney Harbour charters.
So she's at Gold Coast City Marine. They're good friends of ours too. Lovely people.
Yeah, so we take all of our boats there.
Yeah, because it's their level of experience at that fit out area is just fantastic, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. They have all the quality tradesmen, the boys. Our guys love working with them. So
yeah, really good guys up there. So and I guess there isn't that facility in Sydney, so every yacht of that size has to go to Gold Coast for that. So yeah, Gold Coast City Marine is a fantastic option for that. So when do you think about 5 months? She's going to be ready for summer again?
Yeah, absolutely. We're hoping she's back in Sydney around August.
Yeah.
But if you know boats and you know shipyards, I can't guarantee that until she's left the shipyard and on her way here. But yeah, she's literally going to be a whole new yacht.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Like, I didn't realize how much work was being done. Very excited to get her back. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and 100 is a big number for.
There's very few yachts. There's probably 4 or 5 yachts on the harbour that are the super yacht calibre that can take 100 packs. So now with her under our management and all the changes and the upgrades,
because to rephrase myself, the boat that we're on at the moment isn't officially a super yacht because she's not over 100 feet. Is she?
No, she's a luxury.
Wrong, didn't I?
She's a luxury yacht.
Yeah, she's a luxury yacht. Yes, we'll call her a luxury yacht because she is. She's absolutely gorgeous. So just to explain to our listeners again, the size of yachts determines what we call them. So a super yacht must be over 100 feet to be called a super yacht. Now, don't you love the way the yachting industry goes from feet to meters and meters to feet and back again?
Do you know how hard it was for me coming back from America to Australia? Because everything was Americanized. I've never called a captain a skipper.
Yeah.
In Australia, that's what they're called, skippers or masters.
Yes.
I call them captains. And then overseas, it's deckhand. Here, it's a GPH, or it's a general purpose hand. I still, to this day, I mean, I look at a date and a time and I have to figure out if it's New Zealand or American.
Yeah, because the Americans do it the wrong way around.
The wrong way around. Yeah.
We, of course, do it the right way around.
Yeah. No, of course. Absolutely. I've just got to retrain my brain again.
But yeah, there are so many terms of phrase in the yachting industry that everybody gets used to. Like, what's that term when you book a boat and then you've got, is it the APP?
APA, Advanced Provisioning Allowance.
Yeah, just explain that to our listeners.
So when you hire a boat, let's just say it's $250,000 for the week. That gets you the vessel and the marine crew. That's it, and a certain amount of fuel per day. So an advanced provisioning allowance is normally between 25 to 30% of that $250,000. And that is used to buy all your drinks, your supplies, all your food, anything that you want, a private jet flying in your caviar to the Bahamas, that pays for that up front. So that's on top of what you pay for the week. And that normally also, when left over, is given to the crew as a tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And then you do have to give the crew a tip as well.
I wish that was so in Australia, but not, no. In America, yes, look, in yachting, I mean, it's not mandatory. Some contracts will actually say that it is, which I think is great.
Yeah.
But typically you make anywhere between 10, 15, if you're very lucky, and I have been on a few occasions, 20% of what the vessel hire is.
Yeah.
And that's split between depending on how many crew you have on board.
Yeah. Because, as Australians, we're not big tippers. We're not tippers.
But, I'll give it to the Australian community. There's a lot of times when even the 4-hour charters, I really know we've had clients come up and be like, here's $100 each for the crew.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way for crew that are on casual rates.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A lot of the larger super yachts that do term charters, I would say 90% of the time are tipped as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good because it really is hard work. So, it's good to reward the crew with that, with a grateful thank you for that. And Below Decks has probably helped with that because it's kind of made it very obvious that you should tip the crew.
Absolutely. I tell you what, I had a client that was so onto it. I loved her. She was actually a jewellery designer. And she came to us at the start of the charter and she handed myself, I was the chief stew and the 2 other stews, this amazing jewellery. And then she also gave them the captain the tip. And she said, here's the tip. I want you to give it to the crew at the start. And it was a very nice tip. I think it was she was on board for 5 days and it was $5,000 each.
Wow.
Plus the jewellery. I'll tell you what, I don't think I've given someone better service than I ever have. Just because you were thankful. That was amazing. She did it right. She was going to tip us regardless. Give it to them at the start unless you're going to stiff them,
Yeah.
Give it to them at the start. They'll work 10 times harder.
Yeah. Good thinking. Good thinking, 99. Love that. Yeah. Well, it has been amazing talking to you, Debbie.
It's been fun. Thank you. Yeah, reliving things. Wow.
You know what? It is really interesting like that we spend so much of our time sort of, I haven't done this and I'm yet to achieve this and I'm done. But when we actually look back at what we've achieved and we spend a moment like this on this podcast, actually thinking, gosh, I've done a lot and I've really achieved well and look at where I am now and all that sort of things. I think that's really good for us.
It's been good. Like I said, I don't always give myself the credit that's due. So thank you for showing me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Yeah. Yeah, I've got another business called Venus Getaways, which is a girls' getaways business. And I'm recognising at the moment that it's really hard for us as women to get away from work because it's tough. It's a little bit tougher at the moment. We've got to work a little bit harder because people aren't spending their money like they were spending their money on, all that sort of thing because of interest rates and so on. So we've put together this little workaway with Venus that we're putting on the site soon, which is intended for women to go to our beautiful locations and work. And work there just for a couple of nights, either with their team or by themselves and meet some other people there. And I'm intending to offer them the opportunity to do a podcast interview during that with the hosted ones.
Wow.
If they're just going with their own team, that's a different thing. But if they're coming to one of our hosted ones, we'll do a podcast and talk about, because it is good for you mentally to actually think about what I've done and what I've achieved and what I've gone through, all those difficult I mean, you are a perfect example. You've gone through a very difficult part of your life in not having anything, and look at you now, so that's an incredible thing to think about and go, wow, I'm quite a woman. I've achieved a lot there.
Absolutely. I love that idea. Sign me up.
Yeah.
For all locations.
So that is good fun. So I hope plenty of women out there who may be going through one of those tough moments right now look at why it's happened, what that opportunity is out there for you, that conversation like Debbie had with Wayne, listen out for those opportunities to say, oh, okay, all right, that's what I'm meant to be doing, and head in that direction if you're having to change direction or you're having a tough time or whatever's going on at the moment. Listen for the opportunity. I always say listen for the opportunities. Some opportunities come to people and they just don't hear them, so they don't take them. But listen out for it, guys, because often it can be right in front of you and a friend wants to help you. And just by having that conversation with you, if Wayne hadn't had that conversation with Debbie, she wouldn't be doing what she is now. So big thanks to Wayne. And big thanks to you all for listening.
Thanks, guys.
Debbie, thank you so much for being here. Tell us how people can get in touch with Chapman Yachting.
You can go to our website, which is chapmanyachting.com. You can send us an email at info@chapmanyachting.com. Otherwise, you will see many of our cars around with our numbers on them around every marina around Sydney.
Absolutely.
Obviously, follow us on Instagram, Chapman Yachting Australia, and Facebook. We're across all the socials, and we definitely keep you updated with what our maintenance guys are doing, the big events that we do. And look, we obviously, with the recruitment, anyone that's looking to get into yachting or wants to know more, we post a lot of stuff there as well. Or you can call us, and I'm happy to chat with anyone.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you here on the beautiful Element on Sydney Harbour. It doesn't get any better. I'll see you on the water soon, guys. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Boat Princess podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you'd like to know more about what I do and where I am, then you can follow me on Instagram at The Boat Princess. You can also sign up to my newsletter on my website, which is theboatprincess.com. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you on the water soon.